what is that specifically? What shape are we supposed to be in?
I guess it's one of those things that when you say it out loud, it makes sense. You know it's not true,
Yeah.
but it's something that you think is true. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Greater Purpose Podcast. I'm your host. I've never done it like this before, but let's do it. I'm your host, Matt Chenard, and my beautiful co-host, Jilisa, is with me today. We are excited to be talking to you about why you don't need to be in quote unquote, if you can't see my fingers, shape before you start CrossFit.
That's funny. Why do we even call it that? Like in shape? Like what specific shape are you supposed to be before you do something?
Are you getting philosophical? I thought that was my job.
Well, I've never, it's never hit me like that before. Like you have to be in shape to do whatever. And I'm like, what is what is that specifically? What shape are we supposed to be in?
I guess it's one of those things that when you say it out loud, it makes sense. You know it's not true,
Yeah.
but it's something that you think is true. If I'm going to a group atmosphere with what I see to be on TV or on YouTube or whatever else as really fit individuals, I need to make sure I'm at this caliber or this level before I start. And we are going to give you 5 reasons why this isn't true. Um, and this is pretty consistent across the CrossFit industry. I mean, you will have different types of gyms, but especially at Greater Purpose Health and Fitness, we focus on adapting everything to someone's skill level to bring them to the next level, then the next level, instead of saying you have to be here to start.
Yeah. First of all, I just tell people just like don't YouTube CrossFit before you start because it's just not good for anybody to do that because it's so scary looking and it's not reality. And I don't like, I know there are CrossFit gyms that are super hardcore, but I always tell people like, we're just like the loveliest group of average human beings ever at the gym here. And it's,
But that's also to say that people get in extremely good shape through it too.
of course, it's just
Yeah.
like, I think that YouTube and like the games documentaries gives this false impression that everyone has six packs and gigantic shoulders. And maybe like one person in class might have that, but that's not the majority of people that come to class. So I think there's yeah, it can just look a little bit scarier than it certainly is.
Yeah. Cause I think people should understand there's a difference between CrossFit, the methodology or the program versus CrossFit, the sport. So CrossFit has become a pretty cool sport where, as Jaleesa is mentioning, you can watch on TV and they're extremely fit human beings. But as you reach that upper echelon of fitness, you are knowingly sacrificing other things.
Yeah.
And they've spent so much time and energy and dialing in their nutrition and all these different things. And that's another thing that can make people fearful is they don't want to start CrossFit because they don't want to get, I'm going to use quotes again, bulky or get to that shape they see on TV right away, which if you can do that, you've got amazing genetics. You can do that really quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's start. Number one, we believe that CrossFit is for everyone. We we don't just believe it, but we practice it. I myself have a client that is 82, and I'll often take our group class workouts and just scale them to her abilities. So I think that's like perfect representation of um, truly making it scalable for anybody's ability. I mean, she's pretty amazing. She can do a lot of very, very good things. So it's not like, yeah, she is pretty awesome, but she could do the same workout as our teens class or our group class. It would just be scaled to her. So it really is for anyone. I think the only exception would be, those with maybe chronic injuries that do hold them back from certain movements. We would probably want to start with personal training before getting into the group class environment, just because they probably need a little extra attention just with how they move or, how often they're moving a certain way and that kind of thing. But I do think the majority of people can do a typical CrossFit workout.
Yeah, and you can even people who have chronic, and I guess you'd probably be more so speaking to acute as well, like something that is really
Oh,
symptomatic,
what did I say? Did I say
chronic.
oh, that's not I meant acute.
Right.
Sorry.
That's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so even chronic, there's some things that you can pair it with personal training to get some more one-on-one or group or more focused attention from your trainer.
Yeah.
But CrossFit is universally scalable, meaning that someone who's been doing it for 10 years and someone who just started yesterday is going to get the same stimulus for them based on the level they choose. So we use something called the level method at our gym, and it gives you different categories of fitness in different modalities, meaning exercise types and length of time you're working out. And then you can look at the board and say, or the TV rather, it's the TV, and say, this is what I'm doing today. And it's scalable. And the coaches help you fine tune that even further. So it definitely is for everyone.
Yep.
Next, the community will support you. Now, this is something that I've seen really consistent across the CrossFit community is the community aspect. It's amazing. It's supportive, encouraging. Everyone lifts each other up. And even if it's not super vocal all the time, just by being around people, it's less about trying to compare yourself to be at the same level as someone else and more of an admiration type thing, saying like, oh, Jilisa is really good at squatting. I want to learn how to do that. And I can ask the coach, I can ask Jilisa, and then it's an admiration thing. It's a cheering each other on instead of a comparison or competition with others.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Our third point is that your coach will help you scale movements. So this is where our job becomes super important. I think it's Yeah, I think it's one of the most important parts of our job as CrossFit group class coaches is just being able to see movement well and to understand what each person needs to be able to do individually. So you come to a class and everyone essentially is doing the exact same workout. We're just scaling it to everybody's ability. So let's say Matt and I are in a class together and Matt is exceptional at muscle ups and I am not. And so I would need the coach to scale that for me. Or, maybe it's someone's first day and the workout has muscle ups in it. They're obviously not going to be doing that. And so just being able to know how to scale so that someone gets a good workout but aren't destroyed or injured by it, right? So we want to find that happy place where you walk away feeling like you worked hard, but not like you can never come back.
Right.
So yeah, a big part of it is just knowing that if you're at a good gym, they will scale the workouts appropriately for you.
100%. The next one is you don't have to do everything perfectly. Now, you want to pursue being excellent in things. You want to be a good squatter. You want to not cut your reps because you're just hindering yourself. But in order to grow and get stronger, you actually have to challenge yourself and challenge what is perfect. So if I were to say, okay, I can't start at this gym, the CrossFit gym, until I am in perfect shape or until I know the movements perfectly or all the lingo perfectly. Well, perfect isn't a thing. And it's the pursuit of what you see to be excellent that's actually going to help you grow. So let's say I want to be able to deadlift 400 pounds. The idea of perfect would be able to deadlift 400 pounds right away without any break of technique. Well,
Mhm.
that's not a thing, especially if you haven't worked out. So, what you have to do is you progressively have to push on the fence of what you're capable of. And sometimes your form might break down a little bit, and then we'll back it off a little bit. You might not get all the reps you want, so we have to back it off again. But you're pushing on that threshold, and pushing on that threshold is actually what helps growth and strengthens you. It's not about being perfect. And I think that can be applied to many different aspects of life. I think people are getting caught in this idea of perfect instead of saying, no, growth is imperfect. The process of growing and being refined in fitness isn't going to be perfect. So enjoy the journey instead of the destination.
Oh, I feel like you just stole the last one. I feel like that what you just said is the same, but we like to talk about the goal as being progress, not perfection. So pretty much exactly what you just said. It's really interesting. Like, I think there's a time in both of our careers that we have said, like, this is the one thing that I really want to be able to do. And then we do it. And then it's like, oh, like, okay, that was cool. But like, now what? And realizing that the progress that we put in or the work that we put in together, like, that's actually the fun part. Like, I mean, achieving the goal is fun too, but just working through that and noticing your progress as you get there and as you get more fit is so rewarding. And I think the way that our even though our programming is set up is like literally every month, our goal is progress. So we focus on a few specific modalities and we retest them. And our goal is that you progressed a tiny bit from the last month or the last time we tested. So we really set you up to be able to see the progress as opposed to saying like you all have to be like black belt athletes by the end of this amount of time, right? Which I guess that would be like perfection, which is not really true. But so yeah, our goal really is to teach our members to enjoy the process of getting better in the gym, getting better as athletes, as functionally fit human beings, as playing with their kids or going on hikes or whatever their fitness is translating into in their everyday life. So I think that's a really important aspect just of like general overall health and keeping it fun and exciting is just to really focus on that progress aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, the goal is increased capacity and functionality in all different areas of your life. So that takes the focus off of having to be at a certain level or having to achieve certain things before you start or even
Mhm,
along your journey. Because what's perfect fitness? What's the ideal marker? I mean, we can see it in our heads probably, but in reality, it's based on where you currently are and where you are next month. So if you're progressing in that direction, that's the goal.
mhm,
And everyone's going to be at different areas or ever at different points of their life, have different strengths. And I think if we can reframe how we enter into fitness programs and what we want out of it, it changes everything. So it becomes more about a lifestyle rather than
mhm,
something you have to do or something that you have to achieve or perfect. It's just a part of who you are. And I think that's what has been really cool to see lately at the gym is people are just enjoying the culture, the community, and getting in incredible shape and increasing their capacity and functionality really quickly.
mhm. Yeah, it's cool.
Well,
So,
thanks for go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I think that pretty much summarizes the fact that we don't think you need to be in shape before you start CrossFit. We'll help
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So this is helpful for anyone. Click the link. If you're listening on YouTube, click link in the description. Book a free no sweat intro. If you're
Mhm,
listening on podcasts, like and subscribe. If you're in our Facebook group, feel free to ask questions on this. Feel free to book a free meeting with us, and we can show you why you don't have to be in perfect shape before you start.